Welcome to Letters from the Chosens. I am Naomi Major, and today I want to talk about my first journey back home and reconnecting with my biological family. Now, last I was sharing about how in high school I started having that desire to see my sister back home, and then college, called my mom crying like it is time, I need to go back home. My parents said, when you graduate college, the three of us are going to take a trip back home to Ghana and we're going to see your family. And true to their word, that's exactly what happened. Now, before we get into that whole journey, I first want to leave you with some questions, because this is all about the work that we do for ourselves, not just hearing about others. All right, ready? So question one is, what is something new or adventurous that you've done? That's question number one. Second question for you to reflect on in your own time is, what is one of your most memorable moments that you've had? Last but not least, what's a moment that changed your perspective or your direction in life? And you can reflect over these questions on your own journal or talk about it with somebody that you are close with. Now, let's get into it. Every story is important, and every story needs to be heard by someone, whether an audience of 1 or 1 million. Our stories are valuable because we have no idea the ripple effect it can have on generations to come. So join me in listening to stories of how unlikely people became unexpectedly connected. Their stories reveal that we were never meant to face life alone. And in helping one another, we end up finding ourselves and our purpose. Welcome to Letters from the Chosens. I was originally born in Adventurous, Ghana, and so this is a small town, more rural, outside of Kumasi, maybe about half an hour ride outside of Kumasi. Probably takes less time, but with traffic, let's say 20 minutes to half an hour outside of it. And as many of you know, in 1997, man, it was a long time ago. In 1997, I was adopted by two American parents here in the United, well, not two, a mother and a father, an American family here in the United States. And then I was raised the rest of my time in the suburbs of New Jersey, and now I'm living it up in New York. It only takes God to make all those pieces come together. The journey to connect with my biological family was begun in college. That's when I first made that initial outreach where I told my parents that I had that desire. And my mom was right on board. She took that time to get together visas and the information that we would need to try to find also some fun educational things. So we did part of a tour also so that I could learn more about my history and culture. So, my trip to Ghana. Okay, so what was the most fun part of your trip? It was a really, really, really good trip. It was a really meaningful trip, but the most fun part was getting to see our king and the current king of Ghana now, and that is Osei Tutu II. And very periodically throughout the year, the king does rounds. He takes trips, and you can see him in our square. And he had made a stop in a square on our way to Adventurous, and I got to see him, and that was really, really cool. It was a huge gathering. People dance, people bring animals, things like that for him, and that was a really, really, really cool thing. And I was excited that my mom had looked up when he would be there, and we tried to time our week to be able to see him too, for me to just get some of those really significant experiences that are specific to our people, especially those of us in that in the Ashanti region. There's actually a second too. The other really fun part I really liked was I got to see the Adinkra symbols made and the Adinkra cloth made, and we met a man who looms, and it was really, really cool to see the process. We went into the shop, we tried on the clothes, we stamped out the Adinkra symbols, we took photos. We spent like I don't know, it felt like half a day, but we spent a long time over there, and we had a lot of fun, and it was really, really cool to see our original textiles, our original symbols being made. You just got to see culture at its organics, at its base, and literally seeing people weave cloth together and make their ink. And it was amazing. When you think of creativity and innovation, I'm like, there it is. It was really cool. We had an amazing time. All right, what was the most surprising part? All right, the most surprising part was when we got into my local town of Adventurous, and when we were there, seeing my childhood home, and I mean, this is my childhood home that I was in for a few years. I moved around a lot, but what I would call my childhood home, and it's our family house, seeing that for the first time in over 15 years, I think it had been, I realized just how small it was. The courtyard felt really small. My brother, who's technically my cousin, but my brother took us around on a car ride, and we said hi to people along the way. And again, that just was like, oh, our little town is really tiny. You know, it seems so big. Everybody, just everything felt smaller because you've grown up. But also, you know, when you're looking at things from the past, everything is magnified in your mind. And then you come back to reality and you're like, oh, okay, this is how things really look. All right, the best part of the trip is a no-brainer. It was seeing my older sister, Akosua, and I have had maybe like one contact with her since my adoption to then my journey back home. A friend of ours had come, and I'd written, I believe, a letter and sent home, and they had sent me a picture, and that's about the most interaction we had in 15 years or so. And so it was really, really cool to see her. I hadn't seen her since then, hadn't seen any photos, except, like, again, at one point a friend of mine had come and brought photos from my family back home, and that's how I saw my sister in between. But aside from that, we'd had no contact. So getting to see her was amazing. It was an out-of-body experience, sitting in my uncle's house, and then walks in my sister, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, there's a coast. And my sister just means the world to me. And I shared that before. My eldest sister, we are one of three, had passed away when I was in high school. And before that, my biological mother had passed away. My aunt had also. And so that's even when I say my cousin, who's my brother, my mom took him in, and then she had passed away. She had helped to take care of him. As I'll say, she had helped take care of him, and she passed away. So we just had a lot of loss. And so it was even more significant that I got to see my sister, and she was doing well, and she was alive and well. And that was something that, you know, I had asked God for and prayed for, and I was seeing that prayer request manifested. And so that was just amazing. Best part of it all. I will have to add, there's a second. So the other best part was my uncles honored my parents, and my eldest uncle, Uncle Anthony, spoke for the family, but he thanked my parents for everything that they had done for me And then they gave him cloth, some of our traditional cloth, and you can take it, make clothing out of it, and wear it. But it was really, really sweet. It was their way of just showing their love and appreciation. I didn't expect that to come. I didn't see it. Like, it was just beautiful. And, you know, my parents are doing their best to hold it together and not cry. They didn't expect it either. And it just, my heart, I'm trying now to not, you know, bawl my eyes out. My parents didn't expect it either, to get any thanks for it. And just in their humility, their thanks is, you know, from God. And so it was really cool for my parents to get just some recognition and just some form of just public honoring for what they've done. And it meant a lot to me, because anytime that you step out and do something like this, it is a sacrifice. And so I'm just grateful that they got to be honored and they received thanks for a life of many sacrifices that they're willing to make in taking me in and raising me as their own. So what I learned from this trip, what I took away from it, is one, it's never too late. So you can look at it as so much time has passed. This is especially for those who have been fostered or adopted and they've lost that connection with their biological family. It's never too late to reconnect if you desire to, no matter how many years or decades have passed. I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. Just in the same as I was wondering about my sister and my family, my sister was wondering about me too, and wanting and looking for me to attend her wedding. So sometimes it's the same for them on the other end. They're looking for you and they want you in some of the significant moments of their life too. It's never too late to go back and reconnect in however way you feel comfortable to do so. My other thing would be that God's timing is the best timing. And I was right before I was 22 going on 23, when I got to go back home. That was a really good timing and age for me to go back. I was ready to be able to process everything emotionally and deal with all the things that come with being adopted and growing up in another country and then going back. And you know, there's going to be pros and cons, and so just being able to process all the things that come with it. I was happy that I went at that age and I went a little bit older. I think it might have been hard to figure out if I was younger, but you never know. But for me, it seems like that was a great timing for me to go. So, and the last thing I would say that I've learned is that God moves with purpose. Everything he does is for a purpose, and his purpose is always to redeem his people and bring him to himself. And so he will do whatever is necessary to gain his children back, to gain the souls of his creation, of his people. And God is all about purpose, and his purpose is all about redeeming his people. And so he's willing, and if we are willing to join in with him, he's willing and desires to save everyone, to redeem everyone, to help everyone. You know, his promises are yes and amen, as we learn. And so everything God is doing for good, and he's desiring to work it out for our good. So I'll catch you next time. To be continued. Remember that God loves you and he has chosen you for his good purpose. Until next time, be blessed. Most of my photos are on an SD drive, so I have to get an adapter. So enjoy the few photos that are here.